But it also takes a lot of energy to train a human. It takes like 20 years of life and all of the food you eat during that time before you get smart.
OpenAI chief Sam Altman has ignited fresh debate over the environmental footprint of artificial intelligence after bluntly dismissing widespread concerns about the energy and water consumption of large AI models. Speaking to the Indian Express on February 20, Altman addressed a growing chorus of critics who argue that powering, cooling, and training today's most advanced AI systems places an unsustainable burden on global resources. But instead of offering acknowledgement or pledges to dramatically reduce consumption, the OpenAI CEO reframed the discussion altogether by comparing AI's resource use with that of human beings. Altman argued that the focus on AI's energy demands is unfair if taken out of context. He pointed out that developing a human being's cognitive ability requires decades of biological and societal investment in food, education, growth, and healthcare, all of which likewise consume energy and water over long periods.
One of the things that is always unfair in this comparison is people talk about how much energy it takes to train an AI model relative to how much it costs a human to do one inference query. But it also takes a lot of energy to train a human. It takes like 20 years of life and all of the food you eat during that time before you get smart. And not only that, it took like the very widespread evolution of the 100 billion people that have ever lived and learned not to get eaten by predators and learned how to like figure out science and whatever to produce you, and then you took whatever you took.
Altman then pivoted towards the cost of a single ChatGPT query and said that a fair comparison would be.
So the fair comparison is if you ask ChatGPT a question, how much energy does it take once its model is trained to answer that question versus a human? And probably AI has already caught up on an energy efficiency basis measured that way.
Altman's remarks were aimed at diffusing viral social media posts, claiming that a single ChatGPT query requires 17 gallons of water, or the equivalent energy of multiple smartphone charges. He labeled these figures completely untrue and rooted in outdated practices such as evaporative cooling, which modern data centers increasingly eschew. Yet, independent research paints a starkly different picture. A 2019 study from the University of Massachusetts Amherst found that training a single large language model can emit as much carbon dioxide as 5 cars over their entire lifetimes. Microsoft's own environmental reports revealed that its global water consumption surged by 34% between 2021 and 2022, a spike the company directly attributed to AI expansion. Google similarly reported a 48% rise in water use over the same period. The International Energy Agency projects that data center electricity consumption could double by 2026, driven largely by AI workloads. Goldman Sachs estimated in 2024 that a ChatGPT query uses roughly 10 times the electricity of a standard Google search. Even if individual queries are relatively cheap, the sheer scale of billions of daily interactions compounds into a significant systemic load on global power grids that, in many regions, are still predominantly fossil fuel powered. Researchers also warn of the rebound effect. As AI makes tasks cheaper and faster, consumption tends to rise, potentially negating efficiency gains. The concern is not just energy per query, but the total trajectory of AI-driven demand. Altman's comments, however, drew swift backlash online. Many technology observers and sustainability advocates on platforms such as X and Reddit called the analogy tone-deaf, arguing that humans and machines occupy fundamentally different roles and scales in the global energy system. Altman acknowledged this broader point, suggesting that clean energy alternatives such as wind, solar, and nuclear must be part of the global response, even as he defended the relative efficiency of trained AI systems. Still, Pressure on OpenAI and the wider industry continues. Indian software veteran Sridhar Vembu criticized Altman's comparison, warning against a worldview that equates technology with human experience and cautions that such framing could obscure ethical and environmental priorities. For its part, OpenAI has said its approach to environmental concerns includes ongoing technological efficiencies and investments in more sustainable infrastructure. But Altman's comments underscore a growing tension: the need to balance rapid innovation in artificial intelligence with the environmental and societal costs of powering the technologies that promise to shape the future.